This is Brooklyn-bound 4 train. The next stop is Fulton Street.
Stand clear of the closed door. All right, good morning, everybody. We're in New York City, Lower Manhattan by City Hall. This is day 8 of Luigi Mangione's hearing. You see the good man out here preaching the word about Jesus.
He's the only reason, the true reason for the season. Good morning, God.
Okay, so there you have it, folks. All sorts of people. What's up, Wig Sister? All right, so today is day 8. Yesterday was quite explosive. Yesterday morning, Karen Agnifilo started off. Guys, as you come in, hit the like button, share, subscribe, tell us where you're tuning in from. It's cold in New York City, but at any rate, on it. Oh my goodness, it's cold. Hopefully it's not too windy. We'll see what happens. But if you can't hear me, let me know if it's too windy. This is Lower Manhattan, World Trade Center. You can actually come and take a tour if you want to. So yesterday in court, Karen Agnifilo started off with the bang because it was revealed that the media received and also they broadcasted a 2-hour video basically was released of the morning, the incident, the entire calamity with Brian Thompson being unalive on the streets of New York. And so Karen Agnifilo, the defense team, Jacob Kaplan, and also Mark Agnifilo, they were quite upset because they said releasing this video, which the video hadn't even been used in court fully, just a snippet, releasing that video jeopardizes the client's ability to have a fair trial because it actually muddies the waters with the video coming out. Potential jurors, if they see this video, they're not going to be favorable in any light to hear pretty much anything in regards to Luigi Mangione if they feel like he's the individual that actually carried out this deed in New York City, which in court they keep the prosecutor keeps saying it was an execution, and the little red journal that Luigi Mangione had confiscated from his backpack, they call that a manifesto. So the defense has been pushing back heavily when it comes to that. But at any rate, when it came to Sean Diddy Combs' trial, I covered that case every day. That video, when they did have the jury selection, a lot of those candidates, which I heard each of them as they came through, they said, oh, we saw the video and I would find him guilty. So just seeing the Cassie video on TMZ and CNN, a lot of these potential jurors came in and said there's no way I could find him not guilty just based on that alone. So those individuals were restricted from being on the jury. They were struck. So we find that it might be the same case in regards to this case as well, because this video is much worse than the one that came out of Sean Diddy Combs case as far as the media. In fact, if you look at the video at one of these outlets, number one, I'd say it's very heartbreaking, but you get a chance to see that once Brian Thompson was struck and unalived or what have you, he basically had a 3-minute window before there was any response. So basically the guy passed away by himself in a little corner. By the time people responded and called for help, I mean, when you watch the video, you just see what a terrible event happened to this man. A man that had achieved so much in life and was actually walking these streets of New York. So at any rate, today we'll continue with basically the judge is agitated at this point because this hearing just keeps going on and on. But the issue is each officer had their respective body cameras and they also had their experiences. So there was 13 officers that showed up for this event and in the arrest of Luigi Mangione. And so by the time you go through each and every one of these officers, that's what's causing the major dragging out of this whole proceeding. So we're going to find out today that perhaps maybe we might be down to the last couple days or so, but we won't know. But this is a suppression hearing due to the fact that they did not acquire a warrant before going through Luigi Mangione's backpack and his personal items. They also waited over 20 minutes to read him his rights, to Mirandize him. In fact, the officers were having debates amongst each other as to whether or not a warrant should be pulled first before going through his personal items. So that's not a good look for the officers. A lot of people are upset too that support Luigi Mangione is that the officers were lying to him right from the beginning, because he was sitting there just eating his breakfast. And they basically were not truthful. Now, it did come out in court through several officers how, in accordance to the Supreme Court ruling and also the training that they get when they go to their, police officer academy, they're taught that they can lie and also create a ruse or do whatever it takes basically to get the truth out of a defendant. So that's what we're learning. A lot of people didn't know that. I knew it because I watch a lot of these shows, and that's a big issue. But basically, revealing was Officer Fox. He came in. Each officer, they were trying to be proactive, but they're being painted as trying to be heroes. And so in the case of Fox, he came in, he was asking Luigi, hey, why did you give a fake ID? Why did you do this? And at that point, one of the other officers says, hey, I think you need to Mirandize him. And that's when they read him his rights. So you're over 20 minutes in at that point. And then when he continued to ask those questions, hoping that Luigi would answer, Luigi says, I want to just remain silent, And that's when they really proceeded to arrest him officially, what have you, handcuffing and all of that. So it looked like it was, the defense is painting it like they were just out here. They were, in fact, Karen Ignifilo stated that Fox, when he was taking Luigi to the courthouse that night for his arraignment, that I think Fox says this is like the biggest arrest of a lifetime. So, they're painting this in a negative light. The defense is doing a good job breaking down the officers. But at the end of the day, Brian Thompson lost his life, and that's what this whole thing boils down to. So we'll just have to see, will any of this information be suppressed? We don't know. there's a strong possibility that it could be suppressed. Based on all of the big picture here, I think this trial is really going to show how police officers are not as legitimate as most people would like to see, because you get to understand, like, in the background they're cutting off their microphones, they're muting the camera, and the defense attorney in this case, Karen Agnifilo, is probably one of the best out there. I think if she was on Diddy's case, they would have even had a better outcome than what they had. She's straight to the point. And the thing about it, the prosecutor in this particular courthouse, he looks just like Columbo. He's probably maybe in his 70s, late 60s, but he's been around the bend a lot. It's freezing out here, guys. He's a very sharp man, and he doesn't pull any punches. And he's very dramatic, And so as he's doing the direct examination, so whenever you have a witness on the stand, you have the direct examination. That's the prosecutors going through asking questions. Now, it has come out in this trial very clear, as in all cases, they prep the client. They pretty much tell them, listen, I'm going to be asking you this and this and this. So they brought the officers in and say, listen, this is what we're going to ask, right? This is what we really need you to say. Okay, so keep in mind that Karen Agnifilo, she has to absorb in live time what these officers are saying to the prosecution. Then she has to formulate her questions, her line of reasoning, all of this in live time. And when I tell you she's doing a great job, I've never seen anything quite like it. She is that sharp, as an attorney, I will say that. In Diddy's case, I felt like the attorneys were sharp too, but it wasn't at the level that Karen Agnifilo presents at. And I told her that, and I said it in front of Mark too, so we just made a joke about it, but she is sharp. I'm just telling you, trying to give you an idea of what we see in court. So basically today they're going to continue with the line of questioning from the additional officers. So imagine this, Luigi sitting, you've probably seen the video already. Luigi is sitting and guys, we're at the courthouse here. This is the same courthouse where Donald Trump received his 34 felonies. I attended that trial too. So I've covered Diddy, I've covered Trump, Weinstein, Luigi Mangione, and I'm going to go out and cover Tyler Robertson with Charlie Kirk. So as soon as this is over, so that'll require some traveling. At any rate, you see the police have, it's heavy here, much more than at the Sean Diddy case as well. So I just want to kind of get to this point here. The police officers, they had Luigi Mangione. The call came in to 911 and says, the girl says, hey, I think this is the guy, that's unalive the New York shooter is what she actually said. So when they get to the officer is sarcastic because he didn't believe, like, this is a small town in Altoona, Pennsylvania, with only 40,000 to 50,000 people. What's the likelihood that you would have this individual coming to our little McDonald's, right? So the lieutenant who was on the stand Tuesday, I believe, his name is Lieutenant Hanley. He had told that officer, the main officer, Det Weiler is his name. He says, listen, if this is the New York shooter, I'll buy you like a turkey hoagie. And so they had that going on in the background. Well, simultaneously, it came over the radio that this is happening. Now, all these officers are starting to come to McDonald's because they want to be a part of this probably historic arrest, right, for a small town. Okay, so they all come there. Well, Luigi's sitting in the corner, and in court it came out that they did not have the right to simply arrest him simply because they thought he was the individual wanted in New York. So they had him sitting at the table. He was minding his business. In order to get the conversation going with him, right, the officer said, we got to call that you a suspicious individual, but he says McDonald's called because you had been sitting here too long. And Luigi Mangione pulled out his receipt and says, listen, I've only been here for 40 minutes. The officer lies to him again and says, well, this is the sixth time in the last week that we've been called to McDonald's because people are loitering or sitting in the dining area too long. So that was another lie. And they also said that they had to go to another call. So the officer, under cross-examination with Karen Ignifilo, she was like, so why were you lying to him? Oh, I was lying to him because I was trying to make him comfortable. You see what I mean? So imagine this. If I was wanted in New York for a crime and I was in Pennsylvania and driving a vehicle, and let's say my traffic light, my rear light blinker was out, they may pull me over. Ultimately, they're trying to see if I'm the guy, right? But they'll use the blinker to say, hey, your blinker is out, whatever, right? In this case, which is a true premise, in this case, they started this whole thing off with a lie. And that's the issue that people are trying to navigate. Because as a civilian, listen, you might commit a crime. Listen, we have all these courthouses. There's a lot of crime going on, right? But you commit a crime, you still have your rights. And that was the whole issue I was trying to say with Sean Diddy Combs' trial. He didn't technically have a fair trial from what I saw. That's separate from what I feel about him kicking Cassie. I'm not condoning that in any way, but a lot of people, they can't think on a level to where they can separate the conversation or what I'm trying to say. So in this particular case, I'm saying, listen, New York shooter, he could be, right? A lot of people feel that way. The evidence is heavy in this case, right? But on a separate track, as an American citizen, he has rights. And so that's what a lot of people are quite disturbed in this case, is about the particular rights of the individual in this case. So let me take a look. I have to get to court, guys, but I'm going to look at some of these comments. I just wanted to get out that information. Good morning, Stella, Deborah. Thank you guys for being here. Okay, Stanley's back. Very chilly out here. Yes, in New York. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Stanley. I appreciate it very much. Thank you, guys. Hit the like button, share, subscribe. Sharon, shout out to you. Nice. Great to see your continued support, Sharon. It's amazing to me. So thank you very much. Okay, let's take care of that. All right, welcome on board, Sharon, everybody. Okay, Thomas says, where are you going, little tiger? Okay, so we have some of those. I look forward to those every morning. Okay, very good. All right, guys, it is brick cold out here, and I can no longer feel my fingers. That's how cold it is. Deborah says, McDonald's in Florida don't let people sit. Okay, in the past. Okay, took a soda from the fountain, everything in the back. All right, very good. Thank you for that information. Trying to stay warm. Yeah, we have trolls. They have nothing, believe me, nothing better to do, All right, but it's all good. It keeps the world moving, We need it all. We need all types of people. The truth says if the patrons at the fast food restaurant didn't recognize him, he still would have been caught. Yeah, good point. Not taking away from that, but just trying to help you to understand the logistics of this case and how don't be surprised if the judge does suppress some of the information because, right? Let me put my gloves on. Because of the fact that all of this is happening and going on. There's no doubt about it, right? And if it does get suppressed, I'm sure the family of Brian Thompson wouldn't be happy about it. But again, he has 3 different cases going on. He has the federal here in New York, January the 9th, that kicks off. Okay. He also has this case And then he has in Pennsylvania, they gave him 5 charges. So it's very, very complicated, not an easy. You can't just look at it like the fact that, I mean, the judge was so upset yesterday, Karen Agnifilo, right? When she stood up and said, listen, they put out this video that hasn't even been in court that shows this unalignment. It's going to cause the media, it's going to cause the public to really look at Luigi in a really, really bad light. I mean, the judge pretty much scolded her, you know. I'm not saying the judge said sit down, but he was like, well, it's okay. I'm okay with it. And I'm going to prove another video. It's like, whoa, you know what I mean? So it's not an easy case. And, you know, Mark Agnifilo, I was in court every day and I saw him defend Diddy. Now, guys, I sit in the main courtroom with Diddy, main courtroom with Trump. You know, I'm sitting behind these individuals trying to absorb as much as I can and come back and tell you guys. That's why when I was on Anjanette Levy's show Saturday night from Law and Crime, you know, I have a lot of details because I'm actually paying attention and you know, following the case and so forth. Man, when I tell you it's cold out here, it is extremely cold. But at any rate, this judge seems to not be so happy with Luigi. Not just Luigi, but I'd say not that the attorneys are doing a bad job, but I just think that they're not getting as many objections, and you know, I think the prosecution has more sway, but I think the defense is winning with their arguments. Man, I feel for these officers that stand out here all day. I don't know how they do it. Absolutely crazy. It's cold out here today. But anyway, when it came to Mark Agnifilo and Diddy's case, I just felt like being such a tough case, and then you see the documentary where Diddy is actually, you know, talking to him, and you start to see what's happening in the background. You know, ultimately, when Mark says, listen, hang tight in the big picture, I'm going to help you win. I mean, listen, the guy delivered on his word, so sometimes you have to let the professional do what they do. It's like, you know, you have a surgery, and you want to go in there and tell the doctor what to do. It just may not be in your best interest because they see the numbers and they have so many different cases, right? So today, I'll let you guys know tonight at 8 o'clock what happened today in court. I think I've seen that video so many times I can pretty much tell you everything that's coming down the track. You know, it's just a matter of getting the officer's perspective. And, you know, and here's the thing. They teach the officers that they can lie to you. They teach them that in school. They can create a ruse just to make you think. They'll tell you, like if they arrest you and your buddy, they can tell you, oh yeah, your buddy Little Pete, he spilled the beans. Say you were the one who stole the wallet or whatever, and they may not have even talked to your buddy. You know what I mean? So those things can happen, but they're catching the officers and lies on the stand. So they teach you that in school too, because that can jeopardize you. So that's where it gets tricky, because let me give you this example and then I'll go. The main officer lied to Luigi so much, right? At some point he says to Luigi, he says, you know, are you eating the steak sandwich? Because Luigi was eating steak, right? Breakfast sandwich. And so the officer says, oh, that's my favorite. So under cross-examination with Karen Agnifilo, she questioned the officer and says, hey, so when you said steak was your favorite, were you lying about that too? And everybody laughed because everybody knows that, you know, they're just sitting and watching each officer try to make themselves look good in a good light, but ultimately the defense is shredding them to pieces. And that's just one segment of this entire case. I'm just trying to help you understand so you can apply that to what you see in the media, and perhaps you can come to your own conclusion about this case if you're interested in it. I'm looking forward to checking out the Tyler Robertson case with Charlie Kirk. I think that'll be a really good one. It started yesterday, so I'll be able to catch that. Let's see what people are saying before I go here because it's freezing. Yeah, guys, thank you. Thanks for all the support. I'm trying to stay warm. Thank you, Stella. Yes, indeed. All right. Sharon says, Mel, I appreciate you and your channel and love the work you do. All right. Okay, very good. Thank you, Sharon. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. All right, took care of that. All right, let's see. Okay, thank you. I took care of that, Stella. No problem. Thank you very much. All right, guys, so that's it for today. I'm going to go into court now. Just want to make sure I didn't miss any comment here. Yeah, very chilly out here. But guys, thank you very much. And we'll see you later on tonight at 8 p.m. And I'll give you, we're going to go through some news and also talk about the highlights of today in court. All right. So enjoy your day and stay warm if you're in a cold place. Thank you.